The CDC estimates 11% of adults in Colorado have some type of mental disability.
Many of them still live with their parents, but what happens when those parents reach an age where that's no longer possible? A Family Outside Monument is stepping up to provide a place for those disabled adults to not just live, but thrive. And it's absolutely Colorado.
If you've ever met anyone with Down syndrome, they're awesome. I grew up with him, he's my brother.
Robin Lambiot was born with Down syndrome. He currently lives close to his mom in California, but she is now in her 80s and developing dementia. So his sister in Douglas County is working to bring him here and hopes to find a place better than his group home in California.
It's a house that's falling apart. There's holes in the walls and doors falling off, and nobody speaks English. And he was in a room by himself for a long time, and recently they moved him into a room with another resident who screams all night long. And last time I went home, my mom's husband was going to take him back to the group home for me, and he didn't want to go. It breaks my heart.
If an adult with disabilities in Colorado suddenly needs a place to stay, the state tells me they will find a place for them, but it might not be the ideal location or setting because there is currently a shortage. The state does inspect group homes and facilities for health and safety compliance, but there are no requirements for how involved a person has to be in the community, how much time they spend out of their bedroom away from the TV, how much time they have to spend interacting with others like themselves.
There's a great housing crisis that not many people know about.
A few years ago, Rich and Becky Caldwell created Hilltop Ranch, a lodge in a quiet wooded area of Palmer Lake. Their own daughter, Sarah, who likes to be called Buddy, has a rare genetic condition, and from the time she was diagnosed, her parents faced a difficult question.
Who will take care of Sarah when we no longer can?
They hope Hilltop Ranch can be the answer to that question for other families. Their goal is to house nearly a dozen residents who will have roles and responsibilities and be engaged in the Palmer Lake community, a strategy that has worked wonders for Sarah.
She just shines. She doesn't have the words to express it, but her face shines.
The problem for Hilltop Ranch is it can't accept Medicaid because the reimbursement is too low. So everyone who lives here has to cover much of the cost out of pocket.
$100,000.
And that's where Disabling Barriers comes in, a nonprofit that provides grants to organizations that serve people with disabilities and whose president has his own 29-year-old son with cerebral palsy.
Probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life is figure out what's the care plan for my son later. And I'm just one person. I mean, there's tens of thousands in the state, I imagine, millions across the country. They're all looking for a solution. It's not going to be solved by the federal government. It's not going to be solved by the state. The only chance we have to dig into this problem is at the community level. That's why we're so glad to be doing this right here, right now.
As for Robin,
I don't know how much longer I have with him.
Dominique knows that at age 55, he is quickly approaching the average age where people with Down syndrome pass. She hopes that the time he has left can be spent in a place where he can make the most of it.
I want to make his last many years on earth here good.
43 nonprofits applied for grants from Disabling Barriers in the latest round, and 28 received at least some of the total funding, which was just over $1 million this year. The next round opens up in August.
Absolutely Colorado is a partnership in your community.